The story goes that in the 1930s, a French entomologist did the math and supposedly proved that those flimsy wings couldn't possibly provide enough lift to support a bee's weight. Now, obviously, bees can fly. More about that in a bit. But if you watch them in slow-mo, their moves are as higgledy-piggledy as a bobblehead in the rear window of a car, wobbly as a robot trying to dance, and their takeoffs and landings can border on slapstick. A bird now will stick every landing. To be fair, though, birds do land on and depart from solid objects, not flimsy petals. But bees, with their legs hanging down helplessly, wobble away like a twig caught in a current. A bird, when it leaves a perch, aims its head toward its destination and lines its body up accordingly. A bee doesn't necessarily do that. Yeah, sometimes it angles its body when it rises or drops, but it's just as likely to hang level in the air when it descends or rises, so that it looks like it's riding an escalator, like it's a passenger, not the one driving the bus. They sometimes appear to get taken places without even knowing where they're going, flotsam bobbing along on the surf, waiting to see where they wash up, as passive as a baby being carried by a stork, and rocking the way a stork's flight would rock a baby. But don't let appearances deceive you. They do know where they're going. Their compound eyes show them at least 180 degrees at once, so facing the direction they're going isn't really necessary, I guess. But those wonderful compound eyes are fixed in place and fixed in focus, so the bee has to jiggle a bit to get a 3D take on its surroundings. And jiggling its whole body makes it look like one of those tethered balloons in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Another reason they teeter is that they find nectar more by smell than by sight. Sure, they use their ability to see in ultraviolet light to locate blooms, but a beautiful bloom won't have any nectar if it's been recently pollinated. The bee's sense of smell doesn't lie the way color can. Its olfactory sense resides in its antennae, which can jiggle around to give it a 3D sense of smell. So, bumbling around an area of blooms with its antennae twiddling gives it a 3D fix on the richest sources of nectar. And the bee has one more guide to which flowers are all nectared up: electrical signals from the flowers themselves. A bloom that has lots to offer puts out a positive electrical charge that literally makes the hair on a bee's body stand on end. And bees do have hair. Oh, baby, pretty much everywhere but their wings. So the bee bobbles this way and that to see which section of its hair gets excited. Okay then, some of the bee's seeming unsteadiness is deliberate, because all that tipping and tottering serves a purpose. But it does seem to me that a certain amount of their wobbliness is just that they're awkward flyers. They are clumsy, and it's because there's a price to be paid for transporting bulky bodies with insubstantial wings, as the French entomologist in the 1930s pointed out. But his calculations were based on fixed-wing aerodynamics. A bee's wings don't sit still while propellers send a rush of air under them. Their wings don't even move up and down like those of most birds. Instead, they move back and forth in shallow figure eights, as hummingbird wings do. Wasn't until 2005 that scientists finally did a couple of studies demonstrating that bees can fly, that their wing action at, get this, 230 beats a second, that much action in the whirling figure-eight patterns essentially creates miniature hurricanes that lift the bee upward. And it ain't a smooth ride. Her legs and torso vibrate like a blender on the crush ice setting. So, yes, it's good news to find out that bees can actually fly. And their kind of flight gives them more control than most birds have. Nectar gathering requires a bee to zero in on the particular part of a bloom that actually has nectar. So the bee has to be able to hover, back away, fly straight up or straight down, and all that with dizzying speed. Birds don't wobble when they fly, and they can stick the landings, so they look to us like they're in control. But they can't do any of those things the bees can. The bees pay a steep price for those nectar-gathering skills, though. They ride a bucking breeze of their own making, and it turns them into bobbleheads. Oh, sure, some of their jiggling and tottering is deliberate, but you gotta wonder how much of their teetering can be chalked up to the fact that the bee is riding atop Katrina.